Hi, I'm Rory from XR Today, bringing you the latest news and conversation from the extended reality space. Today's session is part of XR Today's XR Trends series, exploring some of the most pressing topics emerging in the immersive technology space. In this session, we'll be discussing the future of the virtual office. And to assist in this discussion is a true expert in the field. That's Christoph Fleischmann, the CEO and founder of Arthur Technologies, an enterprise-grade XR collaboration platform. Welcome, Christoph, and thank you so much for taking the time to join me today.
Hi, Rory. Thanks for having me. Great to be here.
Fantastic. So why don't you start off by introducing Arthur Technologies, perhaps your solutions, what are you solving, and then what makes your platform unique among this emerging immersive collaboration space? It'd be great to hear some more.
Absolutely, yeah. So I think that the core of what we're trying to solve is how the future of work with an ever more distributed workforce can look like, where we hopefully don't have any downsides of not being in the same space. So you mentioned in the introduction two keywords that I think describe us best and also make the best comparison possible to other platforms. It's enterprise and collaboration. So when we talk about enterprise, we actually really mean companies north of 10,000 employees. And the way we've built our software, you can enter in a VR headset or in 2D, this three-dimensional office, and you can work with your colleagues. And so for the enterprise part, what we really focus on here is that we have all of the things in place that you as an enterprise can actually use this and deploy it professionally at scale with all the right security things, provisioning, user roles. All of these elements is that's something we focused on. Now, the collaboration part, I think there's kind of this word gets thrown around a lot, and I think it can mean everything and nothing. For us, it really means I can do work. It's not just that I receive information. It's not that we use VR or XR in this case to just present something. I, as a user, can actually also share information. I can write something on a whiteboard. I can create a sticky note, or I can even design on the fly something in 3D with my colleagues. So that's collaboration. And I think here, a lot of our users find just the breadth and versatility of our platform as a real key why they like to use it. And we combine this with a lot of focus on making Arthur heavy lifting. That's something we've really seen. If you want to get the most ROI out of this technology, you don't want to be bottlenecked by the number of people or the amount of content you have in these spaces, because that's where really the technology shines. And so we've built a very, very strong architecture where you can have 50, 80, even 100 people together in the same room with a lot of content. And I think that's why people like to choose us as their partner, particularly enterprises around the world that really need someone who has all the security but can also actually get the job done.
Fantastic. I really like the points there on security and then scalability, which obviously I think two real key factors in driving adoption rates forward. So it sounds like you got your fingers on the pulse, when it comes to distributing this technology amongst vast clients. With that knowledge and with that background, in your opinion, what is the future of the virtual office? Do you think we're at a foundational point at the moment? And then, where are we going from now? Where does it go in 5, 10 years? What does the future hold?
Yeah, I love the word virtual office because it encompasses so much of our vision. I think we're in this phase right now with human work as a whole, where we have two forces that almost go in entirely different directions. We have one force that is about employees wanting flexibility where they work from and where they live, and employers wanting to hire globally the best person for a job, which drags us towards an ever more distributed workforce where you can't ensure that you're in the same room. And then you have this completely contrary force, which is about getting everyone back into the office for good reasons, because people want this team spirit, people want this physical huddle, this space where you can really concentrate and go deep. And these two forces aren't reconcilable without a new technology that actually solves it. And for us, this is where we fit in. We think with XR technology, the idea of a virtual office can deliver everything we love about being in the same room, while at the same time giving us all of this flexibility that we would love to have from remote work. And so we are on a journey there, I would say. I think we are seeing the first really killer use cases that drive a lot of value for enterprises that work in a distributed setting. And, with every subsequent generation of headsets, we see more engagement. We see people spending more time in there, and we are kind of quote unquote relocating more work into the virtual office. So this is going to be a journey. I think we're definitely in the foundational steps, probably already a little bit further. We've already started moving work there. But it's still going to take probably a couple years until it's totally natural for us to work in this three-dimensional environment together.
And I really like that point you make about relocating work to the virtual office. Perhaps there's a lot of discussion about relocating work in the real world, but I like that point as well. Perhaps on that note, it's not just about relocating work, but it's about relocating culture and relocating types of office environments and expectations. Could you perhaps give a little bit of an insight there into what different types of virtual office cultures, and then what use cases currently exist now and in the future? Obviously on your platform, but I guess as immersive collaboration on the whole, how can different end users leverage this with different cultures and different use cases?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's as a collaboration platform, we of course see a lot of variety of different types of settings, ranging from almost more team building activities that you would run, which are entirely around, getting your team together, quote unquote, physically in the same room, to the other end of the spectrum where you have, a super deep workshop where you generate a lot of ideas, you structure these ideas in this 3D space. The way I think about it is we're in this phase where you have currently rather critical, important, complex meetings that are happening in our space, or critically important cultural meetings. So one is your OKR meeting, or your next 3 months project plan that really works to do in XR, because you have all of this space, you can get all of these people together, you can organically, very naturally break out into subgroups, work on problems, come back together. So you have all of this productive potential that you can use, which is one end of the spectrum. And then on the other end, you have, as I mentioned, maybe a little event that a company organizes where you just want to get the team together. I'm actually invited tonight to a baby shower of a client of ours, of a user, and they're running it on our platform. So it's really funny to see that you have these kind of two very different reasons to use it. And I think they built the foundational pillars of so much more that is coming, where you then move from these maybe monthly meetings towards your weekly team meeting, eventually going towards your daily stand-up in your team that you might want to run in there. And so that's the progression that we're seeing, and it's really on these two spheres. One is the social element of the virtual office. One is the productive, deep collaboration element.
And I like what you bring up there, because I imagine there's a lot of use cases that will exist, but we don't know yet. I imagine it's a lot of good uncertainty, a lot of exciting uncertainty there.
Absolutely. And there's so much momentum happening in the technology with mixed reality that changed the game again. We're moving towards settings where 3 people might be physically in the same room, co-located, and some people might be joining remotely. So there's all of these different ways how this technology is supposed to not compete with our current work streams, right? It's supposed to integrate with them, maybe evolve them, but it should definitely not be something where you have a hard cut and you stop doing the work you actually want to do. But you're absolutely right in a way that you might realize that you are not holding a certain meeting type in your organization just because it's not physically feasible. And I think that's interesting, because then we're going towards the bottom of the iceberg. The top might be what you see, might be the things that you can, obviously the current meetings you're moving over, but probably the real impact of the virtual office and this technology is all of these connections between your employees that can suddenly happen at incredibly high quality and velocity that you didn't even think about. And this brings us back to culture and this topic of serendipitous collaboration, exactly. The water cooler talks, and all of these things why, again, we actually like physical offices. And it's just fascinating for us as a team to watch our clients, because in a weird way, we're almost like a Lego set. We have some templates, you can get started, but it's always amazing to see clients just go wild and then create their own settings and their own meeting formats. And almost no meeting looks the same. Everyone heavily customizes it to their needs and their ideas. And I think that's kind of magical to watch your platform unfold like that.
And I imagine, to a certain degree, with that flexibility and usability that your clients are bringing, it must be a learning journey for you as well, just to see what use cases your developers are making.
Absolutely. I think it's maybe one of the greatest privileges we have as software engineers and the creators of the software, to actually visit our clients and watch them use the app and watch them succeed in some things or fail in other things. And so this feedback loop is, I think, really, really important to get things right. And I would say in other technologies, you actually don't often have this privilege to watch your users up this close. So it's both, I think, an incredibly powerful thing, but also humbling to see your app being used, and also you of course see where you still have work to do.
Definitely. I think, as you say, it's that momentum, and it's absolutely fascinating to see. But thank you for those answers. And let's wrap this up with one last question, because I think one of the big points about enterprise-grade XR is its adoption and creating that conversation to introduce it into your workplace, no matter what that workplace looks like or what that use case looks like. Yeah. For you, in your opinion, what are some of the best practices for creating and leveraging a successful virtual office environment, perhaps from a interdepartmental or a conversational level, all the way down to its practical deployment? What are the best practices?
Yeah, I think you really need to start at the strategy of your project. And this is where you can where we see at least patterns of successful engagements, where you really want to have an anchor use case that doesn't have to be daily or weekly. If you have a meeting that happens every month, but it's a really important workshop, put that in the calendars of the team, and make sure that this anchors the behavior of the team, that you come back there. Now, what happens is, of course, you build up these 3D spaces, they stay persistent with their content, and people end up having additional meetings, not just scheduled meetings, but more kind of proactive alignments in there. So that's really important. Have your anchor use case, but be flexible in the way the use case actually will materialize. The second thing is you want to have a core team that really has the mission to adopt and embrace this technology. And you really want to support them with what they need to get it done, because those are going to be the ambassadors. Those are going to be the knowledge drivers, the center of excellence that will onboard other people. So equip them with the right tools, the right time, whatever they need to start establishing these meetings and create these organizational learnings from which you can scale them. Beyond that, you probably want to, in every engagement, you want to have probably 20% of your time allocated for just trial and error. So you have your anchor use case, you have your kind of core team that is using it, but so much creativity and so many great things happen from showing this technology to other users, occasionally getting a couple more in. So if you talk about your headset fleet, make sure that you have a buffer of like 20, 30% more of headsets than you think you need for your core team, because there will always be one additional meeting where it might be cool to have someone else in fully in VR and participate. And this is really the kind of settings where we've seen a lot of viral adoption happening. This anchor use case, the core team, and then enough flexibility for this to organically grow in an organization.
Fantastic. And before we wrap up, I just wanted to add that I quite enjoy your use of the word creativity within that too. Perhaps that's a concept that's maybe a little bit lost when applying these technologies in an enterprise sense. I think, yes, you should be creative in how you adopt and how you distribute those. I think that's quite an interesting statement to have.
Oh, yeah, I think it's so critical because so much of the rules aren't written yet. We're all exploring how this technology will shape our lives. And if we don't let the user speak and if we don't put them into control, we will probably not build the right principles, or we won't build the right software, and the right standards won't evolve. And this boils down to the immense creativity of people. It's really the one thing I think no one in our team was expecting to have, from individual contributors to SVPs and organizations, just bring in their own ideas and create their own space out of it. I think that's so important.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And for those watching, what's the best way for our viewers to learn more about what Arthur is up to? Perhaps a social media page to get a link to.
Yeah, probably the easiest way is to go to our website, arthur.digital. You can find everything there. You can download on most headsets in their main store. You can download Arthur as an app. We have a tryout version where you can, test out the very, very basics of our app if you like. And you can always get in touch with us also on our website or on LinkedIn or Twitter. And we'd be happy to give everyone a tour and show you what's possible, because I think that's also something a lot of enterprises, even though they've done stuff in XR, don't even know how advanced this technology is and how much value it can already provide, from collaboration to training to all of these different use cases that are really affecting top and bottom line of enterprises.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that. Well, maybe the next time we talk, next time we meet, we could do it in an Arthur virtual office environment. Perhaps that would be best.
Let's do it.
Fantastic. Great. So that's it from myself. I'm going to have to wrap this up now. I feel like we could talk for a while about this topic. To get more XR news, you can subscribe to our XR Today news channel and by following our social pages. I'm Rory Greener from XR Today. Christoph has joined me from Arthur Technologies. Thank you all very much for watching.